I give up. Who is he?
He's an egg. You know Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
No wonder he fell. Anybody knows an egg can't sit on a wall without falling off.
All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
It's no wonder. Why bother putting an egg back together again anyway? Just make scrambled eggs out of him.
How about the little old woman who lived in a shoe?
What about her? Did she know Humpty Dumpty?
No, she had so many children she didn't know what to do.
I can understand why. How could all those children sleep in a shoe?
What's the matter? Don't you like nursery rhymes?
No, none of them make any sense to me.
Oh well, let's get going then, Jack. We need to get that water.
Okay, Joe, but this is the last time I'm going up this hill.
Okay, our next group, again from Mrs. Gumber's class, they will be performing a skit. They took a little liberty to change a few of the characters in the skit, so Mr. Brizzo might want to watch this. This is called Principal's New Clothes.
They like to see what he is wearing.
Looking good, Mr. Izzo.
They always say.
Mr. Izzo has so many clothes, he can go a whole month and not wear the same suit twice. Sometimes he changes at lunchtime just to show off.
One day, a man and a woman who said they were tailors called on Mr. Izzo. Their card said,
"We make a suit that suits you fine."
But they were not really tailors, they were tricksters.
"Greetings, Mr. Izzo,"
said Ivy.
"How would you like to buy an amazing one-of-a-kind suit?"
"I have so many suits already," said Mr. Izzo.
But this is no ordinary suit. It has special powers,"
said Mo.
"What do you mean?"
asked Mr. Izzo.
Mo looked to his left, he looked to his right, then whispered in Mr. Izzo's ear.
"We make our clothes from special cloth. It is invisible to anyone who is unkind to others."
"Really?" said Mr. Izzo.
"Yes, the only way you look great if you can find out if anyone in your school is unkind to others,"
said Ivy.
"That is amazing!" cried Mr. Izzo.
"Now if you take off your jacket, lift up your arms so we will take your measurements,"
said Ivy, grinning.
"We will also take your money,"
mumbled Mo.
The next day, Mo and Ivy set up a workshop in the gym. It was not long before the whole school heard about the amazing cloth and wanted to see it. Students asked to be excused to get a drink of water. Then they ran to the gym to peek. Teachers said they were going next door to borrow chalk. Then they ran to the gym too, but no one could see a thing.
By the end of the week, Mr. Izzo began to wonder what his new clothes looked like. But he was also a little worried. What if he could not see the cloth? So he sent his secretary, Mrs. Royer, to have a look. Mrs. Royer was smart and kind to others. She would have no trouble seeing the special cloth. Mrs. Royer hurried to the gym. She knocked on the door.
Mr. Izzo sent me to see his new clothes.
She called over the noise of the whirring machines. A moment later, the door opened a crack and Mrs. Royer slipped inside.
"What do you think? Have you ever seen anything like it?"
asked Mo.
Poor Miss Royer, she could not see a thing.
Can it be that I'm unkind to others?
She wondered.
I've tried so hard to be a good secretary.
She took off her glasses, wiped them, and looked again, but it was no use. Mrs. Royer had to think fast. If she told the truth, she might get fired.
It's beautiful. I'm going to tell Mr. Izzo right now how much I like his new clothes,"
said Mrs. Royer.
"Your suit is great,"
Mrs. Royer told Mr. Izzo.
"I've never seen anything like it, and now I've got to run and go make a phone call. Bye."
She hurried off before Mr. Izzo could ask any questions. Now Mr. Izzo was more curious than ever.
He stopped Roger in the hall. Roger was one of the kindest students in the school. If he couldn't see the suit, nobody could.
Say, Roger, do me a favor and see how my new suit's coming along.
Said Mr. Rizzo. Roger couldn't believe his ears.
Wow, I'll be the first one to see the principal's new clothes. Wait till the class hears about this.
Said Roger. He raced off to the gym.
The door was still open, so Roger peeked inside. He could see Mo and Ivy at their sewing machine hard at work, but he could not see the cloth.
Oh no, if Mrs. Gumber finds out I can't see this cloth, she'll say I'm unkind and she'll send me to the principal's office for sure.
On the way back to his class, Roger poked his head into Mr. Rizzo's office.
Super suit!
He said.
What does it look like?
Asked Mr. Rizzo.
I can't stop now, Mr. Rizzo. Mrs. Gumber is giving out a test and I wouldn't want to miss it.
Mr. Rizzo couldn't stand it any longer.
I gotta go see for myself.
He marched down the hall and walked into the gym. Mr. Rizzo looked at the empty machines. He blinked once, he blinked twice. He began to tremble.
Can this really be? Am I really unkind to others?
He wondered.
Is there anything wrong? Asked Ivy.
Oh no, this suit it's fantastic. I can hardly wait to try it on.
Said Mr. Rizzo. Mr. Rizzo handed Mo and Ivy 2 gold stars to show how much he liked his new suit.
I'd like to wear this suit to the assembly tomorrow, but I guess it won't be ready.
He said he turned
Yes,
to go.
Yes, it will. We will work on it all night and bring it to your house in the morning.
Said Mo.
That night, Mr. Rizzo dreamed cold and drafty dreams. Early the next morning, Mo and Ivy appeared holding their empty hangers in the air. Ivy waited in the other room while Mo helped Mr. Rizzo put on his new clothes.
Be careful, the cloth is very delicate.
Said Mo. Ivy tried not to look at Mr. Rizzo. She asked,
Are your new clothes light? It's almost like having nothing on at all, isn't it?
Mr. Rizzo stared at himself in the mirror. He prayed that the rest of the world was kinder than he.
Are you coming to assembly tomorrow?
Asked Mr. Rizzo.
Thanks, but no thanks. We have a bus to catch, and now if you could pay us, we'll just run along. Said Ivy.
Mo handed Mr. Rizzo the bill. Mr. Rizzo handed Mo a great deal of money.
On the way to school, Mr. Rizzo's neighbors all raved about the clothes they did not see. After all, they did not want their friends to find out that they were unkind to others.
Mr. Rizzo walked into the auditorium. As he walked down the aisle, he could hear whispers all around him. Mr. Rizzo thought he must be the only unkind person in town.
Suddenly, a kindergarten child called out,
That did it. Everyone burst out laughing. The truth had been told. Mr. Rizzo and the teachers and students knew they had been tricked. No one had been willing to tell the truth because they were worried about what others would think of them. Mr. Rizzo stood on stage, red in the face, knees shaking from the chill, but not for long.
The kids and teachers wanted to help Mr. Rizzo. They began passing up shirts and sweatpants, jackets and ties and caps. Soon Mr. Rizzo had a new suit.
Pass it down. Shoot.
the kindergarten child up onto the stage. He shook her hand and gave her a gold star.
Thank you. Tell the truth, Alice,
he said.
Everyone cheered. They knew Mr. Rizzo was kind to everyone, and they all agreed Mr. Rizzo was still the sharpest dresser in town.